Hi, my name is Dina. Welcome to Healing Humanity. I want to talk to you today about divine power and magic. So, along my path, I have encountered people that have been very good at magic spells and um, black magic, voodoo, various different types of magic. Now, when I first began this, I didn't believe in that. I didn't believe that there was any validity to it. But since I've been walking this crazy path, I've learned that there are so many other countries that do believe in it, and even some that have outlawed witchcraft and especially black magic. Like India, it's black magic is outlawed. In Tanzania, they're still holding witch hunts. Saudi Arabia, sorcery equals death sentence. Now, do I want to go that far? No, but um, I have I've learned so much from various different people who do believe and do engage in these kinds of activities. You know, using chicken blood, slicing chickens, sewing toads' mouths shut with a particular desire on a piece of paper inside the toad's mouth. I mean, how inhumane is that? Um, Burying names in a cemetery, and I could go on. Um, and I know it sounds kooky, right? And I thought so at first, but then I started to experience some pretty awful things. You know, my throat was attacked. I was being sent blockages to my throat on a regular basis. Um, so many different things that I could tell you, but I won't go into that right now. But there is a difference between the divine power and magic. So magic is something that um, comes from having expectations, and it comes from a selfishness. So when you use your magic, your voodoo, your black magic, spells, that kind of thing, when you're using that towards someone else, or trying to take something from someone, trying to hurt someone, trying to take their life, trying to interrupt their health and their well-being, sapping their energy, so you are able to build bigger businesses, greater wealth in your home, or whatever it is that you are searching and seeking for, but you're sapping the life out of other people. Um, those are selfish acts. Those are, and you know this. I shouldn't have to say it, but clearly, um, clearly we need to talk about it because it's still happening, and it happens so much right now, probably more so than ever before. And it's probably because you thought that God wasn't involved anymore. You thought that you had the right to make new rules, and you thought that you know that everyone that was going to be saved was saved. But that's not the case. God doesn't just pick and choose who he's going to save. He intends to save everyone, all souls. So if you continue, what happens is, in like Revelations 21:8, I want to share this with you. It says it's talking about the consequences of practicing magic, these kinds of sorcery practices. The cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the idolaters, and all liars, they will be consigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. And it this really speaks to the dangers of um, associating with these kinds of practices in your life. It it muddies the it it muddies your own spirit. It causes you to live out of love. It's you cannot be acting selfishly and destructively towards another human being or an animal for that matter and think that you're acting in love. You can't do a simple good deed here and then couple that with some sort of spell or omen or witchcraft that harms people. It's just, the Bible talks about this, and it's very clear that God is against this. Now, why is it okay for the Bible to talk about prophets and miracles? Because we all have the ability to, let's just put it this way, we all have powers, right? We all have gifts from God. They are God-given gifts, and it's our duty to tap into those and to use those, but not for ourselves, not to harm others, and not to gain wealth or notoriety or anything like that. It is not, our gifts are supposed to be used collectively together to boost the kingdom, to help the kingdom, to bring all people back to love, back to divine power, collectively together. It's not about our selfish goals. And that's what's happened over the last 10 years. I've noticed that a lot of what has happened around me and a lot of the things that I've seen, realized, and felt, some of it quite oppressive. Some of it like just heart attacks. These all come from that selfishness that somebody wants something. They either don't want me to succeed in whatever that I'm doing, or they want to steal, kill, or destroy. And that is the basis of casting these spells. That is the basis of, consulting the dead. This is something that you need to be aware of, because if you start these practices, it is a downward spiral, because it's very easy to become the words are escaping me, to come to the point where you count on that, right? That you look to that before anything else, that you allow evil to guide you rather than allow God to guide you. Then is it difficult to allow God to guide you and allow God to make differences in your life and to allow that divine power to work in your life? Sure, it is. It's not as quick as your black magic or your voodoo or all of these other kinds of evil practices, but it's better because it keeps you out, keeps your soul healthy, it keeps you in the state of love, it keeps you working with others rather than against them, and it keeps collectively keeps you working with others rather than against them. And I'd really like you to consider that, because some of the things that have been done are rather dangerous. And I'm sure you know it if you're practicing it. I would encourage you to seek God's guidance and His strength and not resort to these dark powers and guidance, for your guidance and control. I want to share this other verse with you. It is Galatians 5:19 through 21. And this is a lot of what I've seen happen over the last 10 years, or if I haven't seen it with my own eyes, I am aware that this is what's going on. So Galatians 5:19 through 21, it speaks specifically about what I'm talking to you about. It says, the acts of the flesh are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity, and debauchery, idolatry and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, dissensions, factions and envy, drunkenness, orgies, and the like. I warn you, as I did before, that those who live like this will not inherit the kingdom of God. And I'm sharing this with you now because I have witnessed people that are supposed to be God's people doing these things. I have witnessed people who are working with the evil arts doing these things. There doesn't seem to be a break between the two anymore. And so I would just remind you that the day for repentance is upon us, that we need to change our ways. We must stop using these kinds of practices to get what we want in life. Like I've said before, has it worked? Probably, but not in all cases. And more in today's age, much more than in any time before in history, or at least for at least 300 years, or maybe more. Right now, there are more people walking on this earth that will not be affected. They may be affected slightly, but God is protecting them. God is protecting those ones that are out here working for Him. Life may not be easy for those that are working for God, and it can be taxing and difficult and lonely and unfruitful. But you're not dying, and you're not hurt by the things that people are doing that are of these dark arts. And I think that we need to, as a nation, I think we need to acknowledge that this kind of stuff is happening all around us, and it needs to. I think it needs to become more and more a social norm to be able to talk about witchcraft and sorcery and this kind of like witchcraft stuff, because the more that we ignore it, it leads to greater problems. Like if this was talked about over my entire lifetime, I'd have been ready for it. I'd have been prepared and understood what was happening, because in the beginning I didn't understand. And I want you to consider that, truth doesn't change just because you feel differently about it. Truth is truth. And as much as I didn't believe in the beginning, didn't make my belief not true. I had to change my beliefs. I had to change my thoughts. I had to change what I thought I knew to accept what was reality, to accept what was real. And I would encourage us truly as a nation, as a collective, that we need to start looking at this and understanding that these things are real and they are dangerous. They can be very dangerous. I've seen people get sick from the energetic attacks that are happening to them from coworkers, from bosses, from people in group meetings, leaders of group meetings, people sitting behind you in church, people sitting next to you in church. So I would just encourage us to start opening these conversations up and letting these conversations about these things be acceptable and normal. And know that if you are doing these things, you're being seen. And you may not be called out on it right now, but you will be. And what my fear is for you is that you'll be called out too late, and that your soul will not be able to enter God's kingdom, and that you will not inherit God's kingdom. And if you believe in witchcraft and you believe in magic because you are doing it, you have to have a belief in it. And if you have a belief in that, why not a belief in the true God that can help us, that can show us the way of love, and that can get us all where we need to go, that can save your soul? Because as I've said before, your soul is all that matters. So until next time, my friends, keep healing.